Welcome to Inference and Incense, where insight meets intuition when a rational bows to the ritual, and the data always have something to say. We, two data scientists, exploring one big questions each week, taking turns surprising each other with a mystery guest and a live reading. Each week, our questions is equal parts over-analysis and random curiosity. This one starts something like this. In this episode, we will dive into the murky, fascinating space between intuitions and trauma. Why do our gut feels so true when it's just replaying survival script? There are moments when I feel this full body like, no, it's a deep gut feeling, get out, don't trust it, something's wrong. And I always think, wow, what a strong feeling. But later on, I realized maybe it wasn't my intuition. Maybe it was my trauma disguised in a foreign language.
Yeah, people often say trust your gut as if it is some kind of universal truth. But what if your gut is smart, only in the dialect of past trauma?
Or what if your gut is smart, but is operating in a new set of unknown data? Well, being data scientists, for example, what I meant by that is your gut fails to give you accurate predictions because your data set is different than what the gut has been trained before.
Let's actually unpack this. I want to understand what we call the gut. It's more than just a metaphor. How does science define it?
I did look into this. So, yes, science, they call this enteric nervous system in your belly, roughly 500 million neurons to be exact. And they called it the second brain. They send more signal up to your brain than the brain sends down.
That's impressive. And we all have these gut feelings, the butterfly or nausea, more often than we can account for. There are instinct responses, which is why the gut feeling feels like truth.
But here's the catch. Those signals can come from two places, science call. One, they refer to intuition, the somatic intelligence, aka your body detecting something that your conscious mind hasn't processed. Well, Lucy, can you guess the second one?
Survival instincts? So your body reacting to something that used to be dangerous, but it isn't anymore. Then my question is, how do you tell the difference?
I don't know. And I want to talk with you about it today. Because I do think society, people romanticize the gut as mystical, but sometimes it's just muscle memory from your worst day of your life.
So that is all about pattern recognition, right? Your body isn't psychic, it's actually predictive. Algorithms don't predict the future, they recycle the past.
My stat teacher used to say, algorithm is only predicting the past. And there's this interesting 2022 study in the neuroscience and biobehavioral reviews that found trauma survivors have increased brain activity even when these people were exposed to non-threatening cues. Isn't that weird that your body would say, it happened once, it could happen again. You better be safe than sorry.
Totally survival instinct. It doesn't really care about the truth, like PTSD, right? It cares about what happened. Now it's triggering an automatic protection system. It flags anything that can even vaguely rhymes a danger. A facial expression, yeah, everything can triggers. What means a gut alarm might not be wise. It might just be repetitive.
Because recycling old information is fast. Doesn't mean it's accurate, though.
Exactly. But what if it is accurate sometimes? When your gut picks up on micro signals like someone's facing twitching or a voice cracking before a lie, that's neuroception. That's your body doing calculus faster than your logic.
Which I do think that most people get to know the gut feeling and relying on gut feeling often because of that miracle, right? It's the most honest system. And I think that's the line the difference between learned intelligence and nervous system false positive.
Now I really want to go spiritual for a minute.
Of course.
I think there's another layer. So sometimes the gut isn't fear, it's karma. Or you could say it's habitual cause and effect. It's the echo of all the times you didn't listen, all the red flags you justified. And now your body is overreacting.
There is a known generational trauma. It's not that different than how you're describing trauma feeling here. It's almost like your spirit saying, God damn it, not this again.
Exactly. And that's what it makes it so challenging. It feels so urgent. Yet in reality, it's more just karmic or cyclical. The moment isn't inherently dangerous. Rather, our brain is conditioned by past imprints, like Pavlov's classical conditioning model. Then what do we do? How do we tell when the gut is wise versus it's just wounded?
When you said classical conditioning model from Pavlov's, for me, it's all about speed versus clarity. Right. And I think understanding in the context of modeling that a simple model will always be faster than a complicated one. And we always start with a simple model. And I think that's why gut feeling comes first and more natural to us. And if we think about this problem like a classification problem, and I'm being asked of balancing between speed and clarity, I would look at when my reaction is instant, loud, panicking, fast, right? Could that be trauma? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's something that is really accurate. That's helpful in especially threatening environment. But when it is not threatening environment, I would challenge that feeling. And I think these are a bit more quiet, more persistent. It's almost like a gentle reminder that feels deepening over time. And maybe that's true intuition.
Oh, that's so deep. I also look at what it wants me to do. If my gut wants me to run, to hide, disappear, apologize immediately, that's probably a fear loop. But if it wants me to pause, listen, or walk away with dignity, that's likely to be wisdom.
Desire, that's the whole point, right? There's always a want, an identity at the end of it that dictates everything that we act, say, or speak. And of course, when we're talking about these differentiating methods, we're talking about non-threatening life moments. Another question that Lucy maybe we can ask is whether this reaction, this gut reaction, feels like protection or does it feel like ego?
Exactly. I'm just picturing what they would say. I think in a situation like this, protection will say, don't repeat this, it'll hurt you. But self wisdom would say, let's take a deep breath and reassess this threat.
And speaking of non threats, there's a study from 2017 around human behaviorals that show trauma reorganizing the brain threat detection network. So people with complex trauma often misfire on safety cues. They misread informations. Subtle cues like blindness could be read as manipulations or even hostile.
Yeah, which means your gut can literally lie to you if you haven't healed or moved on.
False positive again, like a smoke alarm going off in a kitchen just because you burned some damn toast.
The aim isn't to blame the alarm, it's to fine tune the sensor for better accuracy.
And I think part of recalibrating is not demonizing it. Our culture rewards the person who's the loudest, who just seems to know everything, who's so decisive and loudly spoken of their opinions. But sometimes I think the deepest truth really comes after sitting with discomfort and after not reacting.
Yeah, that's the difference between gut reaction versus gut listening.
Right. And I think gut reaction is fast. It's like a flinch when somebody calls your name. And listening is slow. It respects your opinions and thoughts and feeling both of what really happened before and what's happening now. And, I think when I looked up the word intuitions, the Latin origins of the word actually means something different, Lucy. Did you know that?
No, tell me about it.
So the Latin etymology of the word intuitions really means to reflect inwards, to contemplate. I was very surprised to see that. And that is 180-degree different than what we think of gut intuitions, right? Like that flinch, that immediate reactions and feeling. And And the evolution of the word is not only interesting, but I think it teaches us something important. Let's reassess when we get this immediate feeling, but also let's take time to reflect so that we don't override the feeling and the inner reflections completely. And I think, especially, it's important for women.
I couldn't agree more. It happens so often, especially in high tech. I think we've all experienced this. And then sometimes we're just trying to make others comfortable at our own misery, which means healing might actually look like learning to hear the gut in the first place before you can even worry it's wise or wounded. All right, let's bring it full circle. When your gut speaks, what questions should you ask before you decide to follow it?
Oh, too many, too many. But I want to recap what you said about, I think, fear. I would try, have I felt this before? And what happened last time in a language that you would know, Lucy? I would prioritize the recent error prediction. And I would say in this moment, is it asking me to protect or rethink? Ultimately, what is the end goal here? And if none of that is helpful yet, I would ask, what does it want me to learn? It's kind of a cost benefit analysis, right?
Wow, now you're giving our listeners free data science classes. I didn't expect that, but it's awesome. And also, I think that really brings it home about what you just talked about epistemology of intuition, because it's really about that inner wisdom, that reflection or meditation of ourselves. And that really hits me. If fear wasn't influencing me, what would I truly understand?
Inner reflection, right?
Yeah, it's a bridge from trauma to truth. Perhaps the goal isn't to silence the gut entirely, but to bring it into harmony with the mind. Let's count every vote: the gut for its Asian wisdom, the heart for its compassion, the mind for its clarity.
Wow. I love that. So I guess to all of us, the collective us, if the next time your stomach tightens, but it is a non threatening moment, maybe we just need to pause, reflect, and ask ourselves why. Who is our gut feeling is really talking to?
That's so well said. Because when you were talking about that, all of a sudden I was thinking, we kept saying monkey mind. Maybe the gut is the same thing. It's a monkey stomach. So every pause, every question, every new reaction gives us a fresh data point to fine tune our inner model, and it grows with us. All right, my gut's telling me it's time to come back to the present. Let's pull a few cards to get a quick read on our guest.
Mystic mirror time. All right, Lucy.
So here I got Four of the Wands, which depicts a lot of people celebrating, holding flowers, and great compassion, a lot of strong emotions, but showing a celebration in front of the castle. So I think it might be a union or just a party we're having. What about you, Jen?
Lucy, I got handshake, an interesting mindset, perspective, maybe. Parties coming together on different opinions. So, with that, joining us today is Nick. He is a TV producer, former comedy ghostwriter who built a career out of trusting his gut and then figuring out how to make it pay for it. After starting a family early, now a father of four, Nick brings the same blend of intuition, pragmatism, and creativity to every project he touches, whether it's producing global campaigns for Sony, Nike, and SpaceX, or developing innovative experience through his new company, Next World Productions. His unique approach proves that trusting your instincts doesn't mean ignoring reality. It's about finding the sweet spot where inspiration meets practicality. Welcome to our episode, Nick.
Thanks for having me. I had my daughter 18 years ago, and it's sort of solidified that you got to make money with the fun, creative stuff.
Wow, a father of four. How are you juggling that?
Well, it's not super easy. Actually, my daughter just graduated high school, and I have a 1-year-old baby boy at home, and then a 7-year-old and an 11-year-old in the middle just for fun.
So your instinct telling you to keep having children.
Well, I think that might be the one sector that I'm not listening to the instinct on.
No, we're definitely not saying that.
Well, honestly, with work and career stuff, I always just sort of jump in I take on the craziest projects and tasks. And so it just, my gut has to start to take over at some point. And as I was thinking about this, doing this podcast, it's kind of funny because the first, how many ever years that I was doing things, I was going off gut. And then later in my career, it just sort of started to be an amalgamation of like, I've done it so many times that, gut instinct turned into, I could see which way the wind blows before it goes. I've done something 100 times and, you just start to finally get a real sense of how it's going to play out. So yeah, I love making badass stuff. I love being really creative, and I got all the kids, so I gotta make some money doing it.
So you said that this happens so many times, and when it happens again, you have a good sense of it. So do you think your gut feeling have stayed true as you age?
I think my core sensibility and my instincts have been the same forever. Like honestly, like I'm just a farmer's son from a small town in North Dakota, 600 people. I knew that I wanted to get out of there, and I always wanted to go to LA. So I sort of set my sights on directing, producing. I would say that if you put yourself in a position of being a decision maker or being a person who's in charge of how the project goes, that's the number one thing for me is that as long as I'm, creatively feel that I have a decision in the whole thing, I don't mind it honestly, because it's like good is good. When I did comedy writing, I helped set up Late Night with Jimmy Fallon and like I would work with all the SNL guys and you'd think it was a lot of fun, but one of the biggest memories I have is Jimmy looking at me going, what? That's not funny. Why is that funny? And he'd make this most disgusting face, like I just pissed on his leg or something. Just like, but then somebody else would come with something better. Better is better. So my vision is always to make things the best they can be. And I think if you shoot for that, that's instinct, like whatever you're feeling in the moment is that's what you should go for.
Exactly. Interesting that you said it because you sound like a super confident person and also you go with flow. You're very intuitive. Yet, Jan told me earlier that our guest is very skeptical, like doesn't trust intuition at all. So I wonder where's the gap?
You have to be confident. You just got to go all in. I'd run off a bridge knowing that there's nothing on the other side. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go all in and trust my instinct because really there's nothing else that you have except for your own instinct. Honestly, I feel like instinct is sort of a vague term or a relative term that could be thrown around. I don't think it's some like magical fugazi, source that I'm pulling from. It's about making the best product possible. And it doesn't matter if I'm writing a epic feature or doing a branded spot for Home Depot or Nike or whatever. Like I see what they're trying to do and I know what my team's capabilities are. And I'm just going to make it the most badass thing it's going to be. There's no reason I should be doing this if I don't have that confidence. Does it always work out? Is it the most badass thing possible? Maybe, maybe not. But I can tell you that I will captain my ship regardless of the project. I just try and always be positive and happy and fun and just have a good time. I mean, we're not like, I work in entertainment, so we're not doing heart surgery, right? So I just trust my gut.
And then we were just talking about it before you joined the show because it sounds like initially the gut feeling is more of like intuition or you don't know what's going to happen. And that as you like are more experienced, it's almost conditioning you and then you're conditioning your gut too. So it's like you can always trust it and go with the flow and then it's going to flow the direction you want it to be.
Yeah. And I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, my vision's always right or I know exactly where we need to go. But I'll tell you what, I will, I'm going to pick a direction and we're going there.
Well, and I think you're saying that your intuition is always trying to stay very true to who you are and making the best time and the best products that your client wants. Those are honest feeling. And I do think that people resonate to that.
Yeah. I think people see right through. And again, I'm only speaking for my business, which is the entertainment media world. I think anyone can sort of see through somebody that doesn't actually believe what they're saying, and that's why I was trying to be aligned before I get started on something. It's like I want to really believe in it.
I do think that, there's that left and right brain, right? That the first feeling that you have is commonly your gut instincts, but it may not be the most honest. It could happen because your past experience with this kind of situation have brought you to almost an immediate reflections. So is that knowledge or is that just familiarity?
That's middle ground. To me, that's middle ground. That's not the like blink decision that I try to make because like your first instinct isn't really your first instinct. Because if you think about it enough to go, this is my instinct, that's not your first instinct. You shouldn't even be thinking about You should take the whatever information is, and in the blink of an eye, go with that. Because as soon as your subconscious gets involved, I agree. Then you're in no man's land there. Then you should take 3 days and assess the whole thing. You should stop down. You should take notes. You should tell everybody, "Hey, knock it off. Let's all get together. Let's do some voting." Like writing a joke about something so silly, but they take it very serious, right?
Yeah, and I think the difference in gut feeling among a large group of talents in that case, right? And if you're willing as a team to listen to each other guts and hearing what is the best outcome, what is the best story and skit to be told, that's the beautiful balance between, I think, what comes first and what comes after.
And we're talking like creatively, like in terms of like you know media or script.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Well, I think that's where if everybody has their lane and they know what their role is, right? Then you have a desired outcome and you have everybody doing their part, their role. But at the end of the day, I think you need somebody with a clear vision that knows how to lead a team, honestly. Like, because I'll tell people sometimes it's not a team effort, to be honest. Like, that's great if you have an opinion, but we do end up in no man's land with, and I'm not trying to like shoot on your point,
Too
but
many
like,
cooks in the kitchen,
too many
100%.
cooks in the kitchen. It's
Yep.
just like, I don't need all the opinions of everybody, like, because we all have them. It's fine.
Yeah. And that's when I think, strategy and leadership does come in when there's that clear guidance.
Hmm.
And speaking of guidance, so Nick, I don't know if you have any questions, but we commonly listen to any questions that you may have. We shuffle the cards, we take our interpretations of what we get from it, and we hear your feedback. So, do you have any questions for us today?
Sure.
So, what projects are you working on, Nick, right now?
I'm doing this fun project in October. There's a Channing Tatum movie coming out about a guy who held himself up. He like committed a robbery or like did something crazy, and then he held up in a Toys R Us store for weeks.
Would you be interested in like seeing what cards will say about your project?
Absolutely. There's 6 sectors of influencers that are going to be involved, like unboxing, different like famous influencers, right? And they're all going to spend a night in a Toys R Us. And so, yeah, I'd be curious to know what the outcome is going to be. Like, what will the challenges be? What would be fun about it? What would be difficult?
Okay, so let's ask specifically about your experience with influencers.
Sure.
And just think about them. Just picturing all of these in your head. If you know their image already, think about them. That would help us to focus our energy on that. And then let's just pull 2 cards to begin with. And then, Jen, the first card, let's ask, how's Nick's experience going to be with influencers during this project? And then second card asking about, is there any challenges or like is there any guidance from the cards or the universe to help Nick to even like improve the experience, if any?
I love this.
For the first card, Nick, I got a sign that someone or some people within the group is highly insincere and undependable.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be, I can imagine that.
Um, the funny thing is that when I know where you stand on this, Nick, but it did drop a 4-leaf clover when you were telling us about the story.
Hmm.
So I do think that it's a great project for you.
That's actually, that actually kind of hit me pretty good because this client and the way I came in through this is like one of my old friends, and it always just feels like lucky and awesome. Like, it totally feels like a great opportunity and lucky. I don't have to work at it ever when I work with these guys. Because I'm good at what I do and they have a clear cut understanding of what they want. And the gap, it always works out. Knock on wood. I still feel 4-leaf clover about the whole thing. I mean, I'm lucky as hell, dude. I could be there's a million worse options than what I'll be doing in October. Like it's so fun and it's so cool. And I feel so blessed that I get to work in this industry. And whenever projects like this come up, I go, this is awesome. Sounds great. Like I always go full in, happy and confident and feeling like I'm blessed and lucky to be a part of something. And then I definitely have a quiet pragmatic, realistic side that goes, "Ooh, freaking miserable. I'm gonna hate these influencers. I'm not gonna like any of this stuff. But we're gonna get fun, awesome content and have a great time."
Yeah, it's actually the same reassurance from my side. Because the first card, when I asked about the experience or the result, I got 6 of coins. So coins stands for material success, especially
Right.
a lot of like sharing, generosity, and then the
Yep.
balance of giving and receiving.
Mm,
So I think it's kind of like both sides. So you're receiving a good money from this project.
yeah.
And also you're giving something as well. I think it's your talent,
Yeah.
your specialization, things like that. So it's a really good outcome for this project and you'll have fun. The the warning though, I got a similar card as Jan. So there's actually one person, they a little bit self-deceiving, and
Mm,
then it's a warning for you, right?
yeah.
To be cautious about one of them because I got a very traditional like cheating card
Huh.
for that. So it's warning you, maybe there's someone doing behind your back, maybe one of the influencers or, just be cautious.
All right. See, this is why, by the way, I don't like this stuff. Because now I'm gonna be suspicious of everybody. I'm gonna be like, "Are you the one? Are you the you the one that's gonna screw me over?"
We use different systems. So I'm using a deck of 300 cards,
Mhm.
and the four-leaf clover fell out once, and I picked it again when I asked for the
Wow.
result. So I do think that it's consistent. That it sounds like a really good project, Nick.
No, you know what's funny is I can't wait to report back because yeah, I'll be fine and I won't be suspicious of everybody, but we'll see if there's a Judas in the mix.
Let's see who's that feather, undependable, insincere person.
Right.
Like we have to launch it after you wrap your show. But yeah,
Okay, yeah, I'll let you guys know.
all right. Thank you so much for joining us today, Nick.
All right, great. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye.
All right. How was that reading of a non-believer for you, Lucy?
I think it's very interesting. First of all, we got very precise reading about our guest, about who he is. That's all I can expect from a creative person. He talks so much about his work and then things about his project, very passionate, and then very strong emotion toward his family as well as career. So I think we are both getting really good at reading our guests.
Sorry. Are you boasting right now?
Yeah, very accurate.
I know, but you
That's
know,
not what it is.
I just love that you're. I know, but it's just hilarious for me.
The other thing I found interesting is like when you recap me or when we're talking about he's skeptical, but the way he talks about it, he's actually very intuitive and the trusting he's got all the time.
Yeah, I think he mentions that the gut instinct has yet evolved or changed over time. But if you reflect it back in his storytelling, over time, what he recognizes the same set of signals. He recognizes his past behavior and knowing how to correct for this new round, right? So I do think that in its own way is an evolution of change. It may be small, but it definitely is an evolution of change. It's like an amazing model that continue reinforcement learning.
Totally. I was just going to say, like, he keeps fine tuning his model and becomes more accurate over time. So he's actually trusting he's got as time goes by.
All right, that's it. Until next time, everyone. That's it for this episode of Inference and Incense, where intuition meets inference and meaning hides in the margin. If your question's still burning, good. That's how transformation begins. Follow, subscribe, light your candle, and we'll see you next time.